So listen, do I think that all of this, encouragement and, motivational, inspirational kind of stuff, do I think it's hokey? Yeah, often I actually do think it's pretty hokey. And for me to say a lot of these things, I feel like, this is really weird and awkward. But here is really what's going on. And you know what, by the way, and if you would have talked to me when I was like 24, 25 years old, I would have been like, yeah, whatever, would not have paid attention. But here's the thing, is that I'm not really aiming at, everybody in general. What I'm aiming at when I'm trying to, give you encouragement to say, hey, you know what, you're actually doing okay, is the one person out of 1,000 that might pick this up and they might sort of think about it and say, hey, wait a minute, you know what? Like, I actually am a decent person. Why am I actually listening to other people out there? Why am I not just kind of doing my thing and being okay with who I am? And as I've gotten older as a person, I've realized that this is actually the real recipe, the real reason why people actually do well, is that they walk a good life and they keep doing that good walk, where they don't listen to what other people are sort of putting in their ears, that they need to get a big fancy car and a big house and they need to be all this successful kind of, all of that kind of stuff. And they just are themselves and they're happy with who they are and they sort of manage their life in a meaningful way, and they forget about all of the rest of the stuff that's out there. So the goal is not necessarily being attractive to a bunch of people. It's the one person out of 1,000 that needs it. And then on top of it, it's the realization that, you know what, this stuff actually does matter in the long run. This is the stuff that actually is the thing that really gets to people. And eventually they make a really poor decision, which either financially wipes them out, or they get into a relationship that really hurts them, or, they just get in a bad state of mind, rather than just thinking like, hey, you know what, I'm pretty awesome with who I am, and I don't need to listen to all the other people that are pulling me down and making me feel bad. And I can walk this life and be okay with who I am and just live a good life. And it doesn't matter, that I'm super so-and-so or, prestigious this and that. And I'm just a normal person. And I'm living a normal life and I'm happy with my normal life. Now, if I live a normal life and I do that repeatedly without trying to impress other people, and I do that over and over and over again, I actually end up doing the spectacular things that I wish I would have done early on. And I know it's like this contradiction, but it really is that way. Where you live a modest life for a long time, you actually become pretty extraordinary and pretty, you do really well by doing that. And I kind of want to explain that in a second. So the idea is to maintain a pretty decent lifestyle, but at the same time always have a lot of excess resources to take advantage of opportunities. Because this is the particular challenge, is to actually take advantage of opportunities. And yet, if you don't have those resources available, there's nothing that you can really do. So the only way that you can take advantage of this is to live a modest, decent life. So my point is that we should all aim to not impress other people, because that's actually the moments where you start making these really weird decisions that are not necessarily in your best interest. We're thinking about other people. We're thinking about how other people are going to perceive us. You know what? You just got to say screw you to the rest of the world. I know that this sounds really bitter and sharp, but it really is that case where you simply have to walk your life and not pay attention to other people, and really have to sort of hold that for a long time. And so the only way that you can hold that for a long time, in my view, is to think about, the emotional perspective of it, and think about things like spite, where you do things because that you simply just know that you're better than everybody else. And you do those things, you live a nice, healthy lifestyle where you're caring and you try to help out other people. And you do that for a spectacularly long time. And you do that repeatedly. And it's going to feel like, man, everybody else is getting ahead. It's going to feel like I'm so far behind. It's going to feel all of those particular emotions. And no matter how much you work on that, no matter how sort of rational you are and you think about all of this kind of stuff, those emotions are going to come up. And so you have to really learn how to manage them in a healthy way and recognize that all of that stuff is going to happen. And so it's not necessarily a bad thing, and you have to destigmatize the fact that you have those emotions and realize that it's not a bad thing to have those emotions. You're a human being, and that's okay. And you can learn to manage, to not necessarily manage in the sense of like suppressing them, but manage in the sense of exploiting all of those emotions so that you can get through and do okay and just have that, like, I don't care what you think. I'm going to live a healthy life and maintain what is healthy. And so what is healthy and what is a good lifestyle? And that's a hard thing to say, but generally it's it's eating healthy to some degree. It is loving on your friends and family to some degree. It is, maintaining your own self-confidence to some degree. It's a lot of just the things that you've been told in kindergarten over and over and over again, but you have to learn how to persist and carry through with that by not letting those emotions on those days that you feel bad, where you go do something that you're like, man, I shouldn't have done that in the future, and I should have stuck with what I thought was the appropriate thing to do. And, I'm making an assumption here is that people understand what is the appropriate thing to do, and they often don't. And I think that's part of the problem, is we sort of think that there is, like, something's going to jump out at you. But, ultimately, the way that you deal with that is you think about, like, what would somebody in your situation, in your very same situation that you absolutely admire, what would they do in that circumstance? How would they manage that? Maybe financially they wouldn't buy something that they should, or that they're tempted to buy, that is probably going to harm them in some way. Or maybe it is something that they should buy, and they have a moment where they've actually done okay with themselves and they should buy that particular thing. And you have to take a step back and say, hey, wait a minute, who do I admire? What do I aspire to be, and where do I aspire to do? What is it that I really want to do? And if it requires me to get from here to there, and it means like to be financially secure and people to like and love me, and in just the simplest terms, right? I think that those are very noble goals, and they're very simplistic in a lot of ways. And so how do you do that is, well, you try to live the best possible life that you know of, and then you model after people that you know that you are very fond of, and you think that they live a healthy and happy life. Ultimately, we don't know what that is. What is the best way to live, whatever that is, right? Like that is, but we can always do better, and the way that we do better is by ignoring the outside world and living our own life and being confident with who we are, and keep walking in that direction where we're good inside, and that's all that matters, and it doesn't matter about the rest of the world. Ultimately, you got to learn to be okay with eating turnips and potatoes over caviar and lobster, and you have to repeatedly do that over and over and over again. And it doesn't matter what area of your life that you're looking at, it's all the same. It's all living more modestly than what you should actually, or what the rest of the world is telling you to do. And the rest of the world, people don't understand this. It's amorphous. It doesn't exist. Those other people, they don't exist, and they give you weird, goofy looks, but screw them. They are not the ones that are living your life. You're the one that's living your life, and you have to come back to reality and say, hey, I'm good with who I am at this moment, and that's okay. I want you to sort of remember that, to be good with who you are. And I think that's the important thing. So ultimately, all of this stuff is hokey. I get it. All of this sort of rah-rah, you're amazing and all that kind of stuff is hokey. But there are people that need this. And if I'm the one person that says the one thing that resonates with them and changes their life around and sort of gives them the inspiration to do good things in this world, man, that's pretty awesome. And I know that nobody's going to listen to this. And the vast majority of the people don't care. I know that. I am very well aware of that. But if there's one person out of 1,000, out of 10,000, out of 1,000,000 that listens to this and sort of resonates and says, wait a minute, what the heck am I doing with myself? Why can't I go and do something that is pretty impressive and work towards getting there? If I can be that one person that does that, that's pretty awesome. So get out there, do the good thing, live your life, say screw you to the rest of the world. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.